In game one, the New York Knicks were carried by their role players. In game two, it was all about their stars.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
You are locked on to the New York Knicks, who are 2-0 after beating the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. My name is Gavin Schall. I'm a New York City native. I'm a credentialed media member that's been covering the Knicks for nearly a decade, and I'm the Saturday co-host of the Locked On NBA podcast, so be sure to check that out tonight. This is Locked On Knicks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, your daily podcast on the New York Knicks, the most detailed insight on your favorite team, at least 5 days a week. So be sure to join thousands of other Knicks fans in subscribing on both YouTube and your favorite podcast platform for the best insight on your favorite team every single day. And today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. On today's show, we talk about yet another big win to open the Mike Brown era, 105-95 over the Boston Celtics. Big night for Jalen Brunson. Big night for Karl-Anthony Towns. A little bit of an up-and-down debut for Josh Hart. Some incredible rebounding. Tough night shooting the ball for him. And we'll also get into the New York Knicks struggling with some ball pressure. Tyler Kolek playing perhaps the best half of his career and then maybe the worst half of his young career. Guerschon Yabusele setting some monster screens. Mixed bag a little bit from OG Anunoby, and a whole lot more on this episode of Locked On Knicks. We start off, I think we start off looking big picture. Another game where Mike Brown, for the most part, cooks for the New York Knicks. He played 24 different lineups in this one. Started with the 5-out group of Brunson, Deuce, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Karl-Anthony Towns. That was despite having Josh Hart available. He did not just default to last season's starting lineup. He looked at who the Boston Celtics were starting with Peyton Pritchard, Derek White in the backcourt and saying, I think we need some point of attack defense and some shooting to match up with their shooting. I'm going to throw Deuce out there. That was absolutely awesome. And then we look at the second quarter where the Knicks, after a really lackluster start, had a stretch in the first quarter where they missed 8 shots in a row, another stretch in the first quarter where they missed 7 shots in a row. Ultimately, we're down 30-22 heading into the second quarter. And then they just rip off one of their most dominant quarters over the last 2 years. Like the one it immediately reminded me of was the Minnesota Timberwolves game last year, like in Minnesota, where Cat just got scalding hot, was just flambeing Rudy Gobert, hitting 35-foot threes. Like it was a little bit of a similar display to that. Maybe a touch worse offense, but even better defense. They end up finishing that quarter. They had, I believe, an 11-0. I'm going to double check in my notes just so I get this right. They had an 11-0 run in the first 2:30 of the second quarter, and then a separate 14-0 run a little bit later in the quarter. They finished the quarter 42-14 over the Boston Celtics to go up by 20 at halftime. 14-2 lead in second chance points in the first half. 18-0 lead in fast break points in the first half. It got a little sloppier in the second. We'll get into it as we go along. The Knicks really, really struggle with ball pressure at times in this game. But I said it in the preseason. I said it in our board bets episode at the beginning of this week. I am looking for stretches of dominance from this team, right? If you are a legitimate NBA championship contender, there just have to be weeks, there have to be games, there have to be quarters where you completely dominate against elite competition. The New York Knicks are now 2-0 against the Cavs and the Celtics, two teams that in the regular season, they were a combined 0-8 against last season. And yes, there are some necessary caveats to that. Cleveland obviously did not have Darius Garland or DeAndre Hunter or Max Strus. Boston is just a completely different team. No Drew Holiday, no Kristaps Porzingis, no Jason Tatum for now. Probably one of the worst front courts for a team that I think is still likely to make the playoffs in recent NBA history, right? Just an like albatross of a front court for the Boston Celtics. So you have to take all this with a grain of salt. I'm going to look at the Knicks schedule right now. They don't play, given the caveat that Cleveland was far from whole, they don't play like a really, really good team until you presumably get a healthy version, though. They're struggling right now, of the Minnesota Timberwolves on November 5th. And then you have to go to November 12th against the Magic, and it's a long ways away before they see the Rockets or the Thunder. So we're going to have to wait some time for all these theories, for all my enthusiasm on Mike Brown to be fully tested. But what a freaking start overall for the New York Knicks. In game one, we mentioned it. Jalen Brunson struggles. Karl-Anthony Towns, outside of a great fourth quarter, mostly struggles, and the Knicks survive because Mikal Bridges was awesome, because Deuce McBride was awesome, because they got just enough from those stars in key moments. And then in the second game, their stars carry. Karl-Anthony Towns, man, he got off to such a fantastic start to this game, but we have to open talking about Jalen Brunson in his fourth quarter. First half was a little bit middling in this one for Brunson. Like he was fine, got to the free throw line, cooked one-on-one a couple different times, but it was really the second half where he got going. He had 11 points, 3 assists in the first half, was 3 for 8 from the field, 5 for 5 from the line. Second half, Brunson drops 20 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 7 of 12 from the field, 3 of 5 from three-point range. Fourth quarter in particular, 12 points, 2 assists in just the final 9 minutes of action. The Knicks needed it, right? Because they struggle a little bit to open the second half. They build back up thanks to some hot shooting from Brunson and Mikal Bridges to a 24-point lead halfway through the third quarter, and they squander it, and Boston gets within 10 a couple of different times. And Brunson, I mean, did the Steph Curry night, right? He put them to sleep down the stretch of this fourth quarter. I'll take you through it. Midway through the fourth, he sees Boston kind of scrambled after the Knicks get a rebound. So he just goes right downhill, takes it all the way down the court, powers by Derek White, and finishes with the flip in traffic. And again, that is Mike Brown's pace showing up. Brunson also got some nice buckets early in this game off of pace. Josh Hart rebounds a Brunson miss. Rebounds a Deuce miss, back out to Brunson. Brunson toasts a closeout, gets a runner. Knicks go up by 12 again, 93-81 at that point. And then Brunson does an inbound, right? Sideline out of bounds on the Knicks side of the court, throws it up to Hart. Hart throws it back to him. Brunson speeds up the floor, backs it up, gets Derek White onto his hip. And then once he realizes he's White in jail, he's as good as any player in the NBA at that, like especially considering his size, just turns on the Jets, shoots to the rim, hard stop push shot, 95-83 Knicks. Also, at one point in there got a transition block on Neemias Queta that was called, or Neemias Queta that was called a foul. That was sick. Maybe my favorite play, or I'll say my second favorite play of the run from him. Drives on Peyton Pritchard, little spin move, beats Derek White into helping, and Brunson, instead of trying to force something up under the rim, beautiful pass, one-handed sling, parallel to the baseline, a Deuce in the corner for 3, 98-85 with 2:52 left. That all but put it away. But then just a couple different exclamation points from him. Toast Jaylen Brown off the dribble, right? And that, like, I was getting flashbacks to Game 6. I was in my chair at home fist pumping at this point because I was thinking it was still May from last year. Like, just toast Jaylen Brown, gets Queta to step up. And this was like a Kobe to Shaq. Just no look, like his head is still looking up at the rim, dribbling, and then off a live dribble, just kind of pats it over to Cat. He broke that pass out last year a couple of times. It's just dirty. It is hard to track if you are a defender. Like the live dribble, just pat it over to Cat. Cat gets like a big near like 180. I'll call it like a 90-degree crank. Like, but he had to do some spinning on that. Great call by an Eagle on it. And then the final exclamation point for Brunson, after Brown hit a 3 to cut it back down to 9, he drains the clock, calls for a screen, gets Hauser on a switch, late shot clock, puts a 28-footer in Sam Hauser's eye. Good night, Boston. That was the game. Just a sick, sick shot from Jalen Brunson. And there were times where it got a little too ISO heavy in the second half and that bogged down the Knicks offense. But Brunson, like, he showed you why it's okay to lean into that at times and why you can use this system that Mike Brown has input, both in terms of space and the off-ball movement in the half court and all the dribble handoffs and the cutting actions. Like, that is all great. You can do that, and then you can defer to Brunson down the stretch, and you can defer to Brunson down the stretch while leaning into a spacing lineup, right? As the Knicks, like, even though they were so good with that Josh Hart lineup on the floor, they close out the fourth quarter of this one. I believe it was with Brunson, Deuce. Yeah, because OG had the cramps. It was Brunson, Deuce, Mikal, Hart, Cat, right? Like, not as spacey as you can be, but that is a really well-spaced lineup. And we've talked about this before. Deuce gives you a different level of spacing than either OG or Mikal. So that is not the same thing as last year's starting lineup, even though, as we'll talk about, last year's starting lineup looked fantastic when they got a chance in this game. That was well-spaced. You employ those spacing principles, and then you let Brunson cook in an environment that is frankly like more forgiving for him cooking, right? And it makes it so much harder for Boston to double, to send extra defenders his way, and Brunson took the Knicks home. But we still have to talk about Karl-Anthony Towns' performance. We have to talk about an up and down debut for Josh Hart. We're going to get into all that next right here on Locked On Knicks. But first, we want to tell you about our good friends over at Robinhood. Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you can play for the win, not just on game day, every day. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETF, options, futures, and crypto, all in one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney, your money, your move. We also want to tell you about our good friends over at DoorDash. All right, guys, here's the deal with DoorDash. The NBA season is heating up, and DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights of your fantasy team or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the Bag Drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day. And you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're talking player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, and stuff you'll actually want. Dash Pass has you covered for late-night highlights, last-minute watch parties, and double OT fuel ups. We've already had that, plus some 50-point games this season. So next time someone goes off for 50, use promo code NBA50 the next day and get 50% off your order on DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only 50% off, up to $10 the next day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 years or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. All right, what's up, guys? We are back here on Locked On Knicks. Karl-Anthony Towns, he was also awesome in this one. Finishes 26 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists, did have 5 turnovers, but he was awesome in this game, particularly in the first half at 16, 6 and 3 in the first half. The 3-point shooting, a night after going just 1 for 4 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. He makes 3 threes in the first 7 minutes of this one, and I loved that he just wasn't hesitating. And even I believe I mentioned it after the Cavs game, like his first shot of the season this year, or at least his first 3-point shot of the season, right? Like caught it 26 foot out and feet out and just immediately ripped it. And that's what you want from Karl-Anthony Towns, right? And that's not to say that he can't get into his pump and go game. That's not to say if he has a mismatch, he shouldn't take it to the post and post it up. It's just that when he has a 3, you want it going up without hesitation, because as Stan Van Gundy said about 50 times last night, we were talking about the best or one of the 2 or 3 best big man shooters in NBA history. So Deuce probes and just zips one out to Cat. And this was just, this is what makes Cat special, right? Brilliant footwork for a big man. Pitter-patter step back behind the line as he caught it, drained the 3 in Jalen Brown's eye, right? Like that is guard stuff. The ability to catch, to just have an innate sense of where you are on the floor, to use your 2 steps to get behind the line and then put it in. That was beautiful. Cat had some tough moments defensively in this game. Also had some really good moments, like switching onto Peyton Pritchard on a drive and holding him up. Had another one where he was stuck on Pritchard and had to just follow him around for multiple efforts. Pritchard ultimately missed a deep 3 in his eye, but then back to offense. The other big thing for Cat, well, I'll finish off on the 3-point shooting first. Also had a would-be 4-point play in transition. He missed the free throw. I feel like Cat shoots like 20% on free throws for 4-point plays. It feels like the Knicks do in general. It feels like the Knicks always have opportunities at 4-point plays, and then I always have to write in my notes, but he missed the free throw. That sucks. But the shooting was obviously just awesome in the early going. The other thing that really stood out from Cat, and this was the game where you ask Cat, what's your role in his offense? And he says, I don't really know right now. And everyone freaks out. It seems like he knows. Like he was operating as Domantas Sabonis plus out of the high post, right? Threat of his shot makes it just a little more dangerous. And instead of Keegan Murray, he is OG Anunoby cutting off him on these plays, which is just that much more deadly. They love that little rub screen, right? Where OG throws it to Cat cuts off his hip. So Cat has the ball, but he's also a screener. Cat hits him over the top. OG bullies balls his way to a spot, gets doubled, and just says, all right, I don't need to force it up. Zips it back out to Cat for three. When they ran that action with Sabonis, you don't have to guard Sabonis after he gives it the ball, right? You can go down and you can help if your defender can recover to that cutter. With Cat, he has that gravity. If you don't respect that and you don't stay in the area, OG just gets to throw it back out. Cat hits a three. That was awesome. There was another one that was really fun. Like a fake, basically like a play action play where he's in the corner, fake dribble handoff to Jalen Brunson. Those two have such gravity, and this is what we're loving from Mike Brown so much, right? Like he gets those two involved in actions, even when they're not necessarily designed for those two to be the ones who finish the play. So fake dribble handoff to Brunson, 3 Celtics stay around. You are leveraging the fact that you have 2 of the top off 10 or 15, 20, wherever you want to rank them. I would say no higher than 15 best offensive players in the world on the court together, and Boston has to respect that. So 3 Celtics stay in the area, and Cat just throws like a sick, I think it was lefty, over his head hook pass to a cutting Josh Hart for a layup. That is how you leverage those two being on the floor. And again, Cat at the top of the arc, OG Shamet run a little split action, screen for each other. OG comes off. They have to respect Shamet comes off, curling for a 3. You have to respect him as a shooter. And OG is able to sneak back door. Cat zips a hook pass over the top to OG, cutting to the rim for a layup. That was great. Late in the second quarter during that big run, had a really nice and one, like acrobatic jelly finish. Sick first half. Quiet second half for him. Did have a nice bully ball run in the lane where he put up like 3 shots in a row. Ian Eagle gave the Moses Malone call on it, which I thought was funny and timely. Ian Eagle's so good. And then a 26-foot wing 3 to impede a Celtics run after they were pushing their way back into the game. They cut it to 84-72. It was 82-58. So that was like a 14-2 Celtics run. Cat, late shot clock, off a Kolek probe, casually hits 26-foot wing 3. Big shot from Karl-Anthony Towns. Just big nights for the Knicks 2 superstars. Kind of a mixed bag of a night for Josh Hart. Incredible effort on the glass, 14 rebounds in 19 minutes, 6 of them in just 19 minutes on the offensive end of the floor. Also had 3 assists, did just shoot 1 for 8 from the field, 0 for 3, 2 points. We will tell you why that's concerning in a second. But the rebounding was monstrous. I mentioned it. The Knicks in the first half outscore Boston 14-2 on second chance points, finish 21-7 there, out rebound them on the offensive end 21-8. And this is without Mitchell Robinson. I am scared for the Boston Celtics if they have to play the New York Knicks with Mitchell Robinson before Jason Tatum comes back, because they're just going to have 0 chance of getting a rebound. I mean, that was like we emphasized it last season. I'm going to continue to emphasize it this season. And I think it's something Mike Brown has leaned into. This Knicks team can win multiple ways, right? They can win with shooting. They can win with Brunson cooking. They can win with Cat cooking. They can win with their depth. They can win even on nights without Mitch by just bulldozing teams on the glass. And Josh Hart is obviously going to be a really, really big part of that. And what was really exciting tonight is we got to see last season's starting lineup for the first time under Mike Brown, right? Because Hart played 2 minutes in Abu Dhabi and then he hurt his back. And then we haven't gotten to see it yet. They were +9 in, let me see what the total was, in 3 minutes and 23 seconds to end the second quarter. It's too little time against the wrong opponent to draw too much from that, but I like the spacing. I like the way they were flying around. The energy, the vibe was just very, very different with that group. And it's going to be interesting to see, because Mike Brown tonight said on starting the Deuce lineup, if I feel that we need to match up, I may go to a specific starting 5. If that part's inserted in. If I feel that we don't, I may go to a different lineup. I have a lot of confidence in this entire roster, so we can start a lot of different ways. He's going to cater his lineup to the opponent. There probably will be games, especially when Mitch is out, where we get those 5, last season starting 5. I've talked to XJ about it. I've talked with you guys about it. If that lineup is used optimally, and you figure out ways to answer, if teams put a wing on Cat and put a big on Josh Hart, you could play that lineup and they could be really good. Like, it is arguably getting the Knicks 5 best players on the floor at the same time. So that is certainly something to watch going forward. Hart, just some monstrous stretches rebounding the floor. I mentioned the double rebound that got Brunson the layup that put the Knicks up by 12 late. The shooting is pretty concerning for Josh. He airballed a wide open wing three with 3.5 minutes left. Knicks up by 11. That felt like a big shot in the moment. Another play where he was trying to get a chase down block, smacked the backboard, was left shaking his injured, I believe it's his right pointer finger. Maybe it's his ring finger. I'm not quite sure. Point is, like, the finger is a concern for Josh Hart. You want to wait more games before assuming there's going to be some season-long shooting issue there. Obviously, it's his first game of the season. He didn't really get to play in preseason. You'll give him a couple of games to catch his stride. The shot just looked really, really bad in this game. He did not look in any way confident taking it. And I know I've said this before, so I will not belabor the point, but Josh should, for my money, and to be clear, I don't know what the surgery is. I don't know what the timeline is. Generally, if you have a fractured finger or a broken finger, that is like maybe an 8-week recovery, possibly faster than that with an NBA level coaching staff, or training staff rather, and like access to just the best possible doctors and physical therapy in the entire world. If I'm Josh, like, I'm just getting that done. The Knicks have made it clear they have the depth, they have the right coach to survive for a long stretch without Josh Hart. Frankly, they have the schedule to survive. They're not playing the Western Conference. They have the schedule to survive a long stretch without Josh Hart. If that finger continues to bother him, I don't know why he didn't just do it as soon as he re-injured it over the offseason, because he would likely be nearly back already. But instead of playing a full season hampered in the year where this, we've said it so many times, this is your window to go and win a championship. Josh Hart, the priority is to be 100% come April. And I've made that rant already. I will likely make it again if this continues, right? The Knicks don't need Josh Hart today. They need Josh Hart April, May, June. When we come back on Locked On Knicks, we're going to talk about some of the Knicks' struggles with ball pressure and perhaps the best and worst halves of Tyler Kolek's young career. We'll get into that next right here on Locked On Knicks. But first, I want to tell you about some of our newest friends here at Locked On Knicks, our buddies at Rougiette. Let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. It happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fast-acting doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiette makes it easy to get started. You just get connected with a board-certified doctor, 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships directly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private. It's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, getting back to the moments that matter. So visit rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA. Don't forget to use our code LockedOnNBA so they know we sent you. Rougiette, stop making excuses and start making moves. We also wanted to tell you about our good friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives you so many different ways to play. I built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football just that much more exciting. And I promise, Giants fans, this is the last time I will reference this, but if you put some money on the Broncos live line, when they were down 26-8, a deficit that no team has ever come back from with less than 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, you would have made yourself a boatload of money. You might have put your kids through college, whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats. FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, what's up, guys? We are back here on Locked On Knicks. I am Gavin Schall, taking you through some quick hitters on this one. The Celtics ball pressure single-handedly brought them back into this game. Hugo Gonzalez is a menace. He is Frank Ntilikina reincarnate, but 6'8" and probably a lot better, unfortunately. He was only credited with 2 steals. He was involved with forcing about 5 turnovers in this one. That might even be low. Great pick for Brad Stevens. God damn it. He's really good at his job, unfortunately. Tyler Kolek really, really struggled with that throughout the second half. Like, he was, after just an awesome first half, he was bad in the second half. You just don't see Tyler Kolek miss passes that he should make. And even frankly, you don't really see him miss on the passes that almost no one should make. Like the Knicks had a really nice play lined up on a sideline out of bounds, set to get OG a lob, and he just short armed it. That was a turnover. Bad throwaway, trying to get it back to Cat, and he was just trying to go behind the back, threw it way too slow. Like that is the same pass you saw Donovan Mitchell rip when the Cavs run that like guard, like go screen and pop. Tried to go behind the back, like just send back to Cat. Simon shot and stole it. Had another throwaway where he was pressured at half court. That one was less on him. He was recovering a loose ball, and Hugo, who has 6-7 inches on him, was right in his face. Mike Brown should have gotten a timeout. There were a couple times in the second half where Mike Brown, one where OG Anunoby was dealing with cramps, where Mike Brown just did not get a timeout, and he clearly needed to. So that was maybe the only bad thing I have to say about Mike Brown so far. But Tyler just he was not looking good against the ball pressure. And look, this team's goal at the end of the season, right, is going to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. The championship is going to run through them. Maybe there's a world you get to the finals and it's Houston or it's Denver or Oklahoma City is an injury and it's some mystery team that we are not expecting. But if you want to achieve your goals, there's going to come a series, there's going to come a game where you're going to have to deal with really, really high level ball pressure. And the Knicks, outside of Jalen Brunson, did not hold up particularly well to that in this game. And obviously Brunson will be on the court the bulk of the time in the playoffs in the biggest moments. But it is certainly something to watch going forward for the New York Knicks. That being said, Kolek was fantastic in the first half of this game. He's just so good. We've heard Mike Brown talk about it over and over again. Most important shot for him is the corner three. And Kolek is as good as anyone on this team creating open threes. Mikal Bridges has and certainly Jalen Brunson obviously are in the running for that too, but comes into the game, dribble handoff from Cat, drive, spray to OG, running off the screen, corner three, screen from Cat, drive, deconverges, just a nasty one-handed, picked it up mid-dribble, just ripped it, almost one-timing it like a hockey pass to the corner to Mikal for corner three. And then some of the drives from him, Stan Van Gundy, really good about calling this out. Wonky foot, wrong-footed layups, left side, left foot layups, just because Kolek is quick, but he's rarely going to have an athleticism advantage. So how do you get bigs off their timing? Going up a little earlier than they expect, off the wrong foot. He's a real natural at that. We noted this going back to his first summer league. Real natural at those hook layups. Beat Keita once or maybe even twice on those. No, just once. He only had one basket in this game. And then some of the defense from him. He was credited with just one steal. It felt like he was involved with a lot more. Did a great job retreating on Derek White, right? And we've seen times where Kolek just gets bowled over. And look, if he's going up against a guard as big and as strong as White, he's not gonna take him into his chest and just stop him in his tracks like you see OG Anunoby do. So what can you do in that situation? You can retreat, but you can stay in front and you can buy time for your help to get there. And he did exactly that. Beat White to the spot, took what probably should have been a charge, and then I think it was Mikal. It might have been someone else. It was Mikal. He recovered, swatted it. That was just a big time defensive play by Tyler Kolek. And then the next play showed on Derek White, recovers to Sam Hauser on the pass. You can't quite catch the ball. He bats it out of the air and then dives into the crowd to try to save it. Only reason it didn't work is because it hit off the ref. And if not, it would have triggered a fast break to Mikal Bridges. Just a lot of heart, a lot of effort. This team is still playing ridiculously hard for Mike Brown. And that was one of my big questions when the Knicks hired Mike Brown. You fired Tom Thibodeau. Even as someone who's an avowed Tom Thibodeau hater, was this team going to keep that same fight, that same effort, that elite culture that Tom Thibodeau has built? Would that maintain under Mike Brown? We're seeing signs of it early. I go to another play from Landry Shamet in this game where he gets elbowed in the face by Hugo Gonzalez, checks his head, he's not bleeding, gets up, and then just crashes into the paint on a rebound, puts a body on Chris Boucher, gets up, high points the ball, rips it away from Boucher, kind of gets pushed over as Tillman tries to grab the ball. He's falling out of bounds, able to just chuck it up the floor to Deuce. Those are the kind of plays in the playoffs that electrified MSG. If you're getting that from Landry Shamet, it is a reincarnation of the Minutemen and Mike Riordan on the 1970s Knicks. My old heads know exactly what I'm talking about here. Those are the kind of plays, the kind of moments that potentially define a championship team. We will go real quick hitting on some other guys. Maybe I'll do a little pod tomorrow and go a bit more in depth. Another really good showing in this one for Mikal Bridges. Again, making the effort plays. Like I talked about, his offensive rebound in the preseason really flashed. He had another 2 of them in this game. One to create a bucket where he saved it to Cat on a tiptoe, who ended up getting it to Jordan Clarkson for a leaning 3. Came right off a really nice Yabusele screen for a lay on a baseline out of bounds. Just like Tibbs, Mike Brown has Mikal Bridges just cooking on those baseline and those sideline out of bounces. Was involved in the sequence of the day when that OG starting lineup was in, where Hart got a rebound, lobbed it up to Brunson. Brunson doesn't even take a dribble from half court, lob to Bridges, sprinting the floor for a layup. Ball doesn't touch the floor once. You're cooking with gas. Mikal, great job doing the OB right contest, trusting Hart would get the rebound, leaking out. That was cool. Him and Cat had some issues guarding pick and roll. The Knicks as a whole had a lot of issues, like Boston wisely, because we saw the Pacers did this constantly in the playoffs, and teams, frankly, in general, have done this a lot over the last 2 years against the New York Knicks, running stack pick and roll or Spain pick and rolls and counting on Karl-Anthony Towns to not be able to like communicate it correctly or see it correctly. There was one where OG, the credit Shax, he pointed this out, shoved a guy in the right direction and to make it work. And he got Cat around the screen, and then OG sprinted out on Jalen Brunson. The Knicks covered it, but they had some issues with that. Mikal and Cat in general had some real communication issues defensively. And a lot of times they were on Mikal. Like there was a play where Cat really smartly scrammed Mikal out of a matchup with Keita, and Mikal refused to like pop out to the perimeter. Maybe he thought Cat was just tagging him, but it led to like a wide open 3 for Sam Hauser, which was part of an 8-0 run for Boston to open the second half. Mikal also just had one huge shot midway through the third quarter, shot clock dwindling, put a 26-foot wing 3 in Derek White's eye to put the Knicks up by 20, 76-56, halfway through the third. Mikal is shooting it from a couple feet behind the line, and that is something to watch. Like the Knicks have a different level of spacing if Mikal has to be guarded from 26 feet out versus being like a towing the line 3-point shooter. You want more of that. Relatedly, OG Anunoby, awesome defensive game, some really good moments. Shut down Derek White on a switch. He is struggling a little bit from 3, at least in this one. He struggled a little bit from 3, obviously shot really well game 1. Just short arms it a lot. Like I wonder if that's the ankle, but we've seen that where his power transfer is just not always there on his shot. Gershon Yabusele set some monster screens to free guys up for buckets, had a really nice pop for a 3-pointer on like a well-designed sideline out of bounds play where he screens. 2 guys went with Brunson. He just pops out, hits a 3. You saw the weaponization of his shooting. His defense was mostly good in this one. Jordan Clarkson, 2 for 4 from 3, had just an exceptional closeout on Derek White where he tapped the ball away. White got it back, and then he stripped him again. One of the better defensive plays I've seen from Jordan Clarkson in his career. All right, guys, that'll wrap this one up. Big win for the Knicks. Have another one tomorrow against the Miami Heat, and we will, of course, have you covered right here on Locked On Knicks.